Hey everyone, it's Alexi Uzas here from Exile Entertainment. In this video, I'm going to recommend 3 books to aspiring filmmakers and producers to be self-motivated in the business of film. Before I get started, I want to make sure that you're aware that spots are available for our Producing Accelerator program that shows filmmakers how they can consistently finance and produce their own films. So if you want to hear more about that program, stick around until the end of the video. And for the best filmmaking advice, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post a video. Okay, so the first book that I recommend is a book called Super Teams by Koi Tu. I came across this book either in a bookstore or an airport. I can't even remember how I stumbled upon it, but I remember reading it, just devouring it and being so grateful that I did come across it. Basically, what the book does is it takes you through high performing teams. So teams that have performed at an elite or really high level over a long period of time and who have achieved extraordinary results. So some of the examples that they give is the SAS, another one is Pixar, another one is Ferrari. So you can start to get an idea. These are teams that have been formed and then performed over a really long period of time at an extremely high level. And it basically takes you through one of these teams in each chapter and tells you about basically some of the qualities or the characteristics that help that team achieve really extraordinary success at that top level. So I found this one really useful for me because I came across it kind of just at that period, I think, where I was just starting to produce short films. So it was actually really early on in the piece for me. But I do remember it kind of drilling into my mind the importance of teamwork and the importance of having a team that's able to function and collaborate together to achieve something that is quite extraordinary. And I think, independent filmmaking is such a difficult thing to do. And, you're often working with limited resources, you have limited experience. And so you're going into it needing to really perform at a high level, but not having the advantage of resources and experience to kind of back you. So one of the best ways to overcome that is to have a really great team. And I do speak about, having a core team and how that's really important to any film. So a team of at least kind of 3 people who will drive the vision of the film and who will be the ones that are always progressing that project forward. But even 3 people, that's 3 different ideas, 3 different personalities, 3 different approaches. So even just having those 3 people align and then being able to bring on more people into that team and having them buy into the vision and into the culture is something that's not easy to do. So this is a book that I highly recommend if you're interested in learning more about how to get the most out of a team. It gives you some of these really world-class examples of some of those best teams and definitely gives you some great takeaways that you can use to start thinking about how to develop your own team, maybe even your own production company, but certainly for filmmaking, like I said, because it is such a collaborative process. I've having to build a core team and then a huge team around that to help execute that vision. Teamwork and having that team, I've said team so many times in this video already, but having that team really performing at their kind of optimal level and at their potential is going to give the film the best chance of succeeding. And of course, that's what we're all trying to make that film for. We're hoping that it's going to reach a wide audience, achieve critical acclaim, and hopefully allow the team to then progress in their careers and go on to the next project. So definitely recommend that book. The next book on my list is a book called The Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink. This book is actually a sequel to a book called Extreme Ownership, which I also highly recommend. But for the purpose of this video, I wanted to just choose one of those books And the dichotomy of leadership, I think I actually read that before Extreme Ownership. What that book does is it takes you through, again, some of the key kind of qualities or characteristics that are needed in a great leader. And it shows you how leadership actually isn't just black and white, that often there is a dichotomy between those characteristics or those qualities that you need to have as a leader. And that's why I really liked the book, because it felt like it was a much more holistic look at leadership. It wasn't as dogmatic as saying this is absolutely how you do it. It was much more nuanced, and it showed that, you know, even within certain qualities or characteristics that you need, there is a dichotomy within that, and you need, as a leader, to be able to balance those two sides, and of course know when a certain side is more beneficial or is more relevant to the specific situation that you're in. That was a book that, was definitely helpful for me. And the reason I think it's important for filmmakers to read, or aspiring producers, is that, of course, leadership is such an integral and important quality that you need, either as a producer or a director, especially those two, but even as a head of department on a film shoot. Knowing what those leadership qualities are, those characteristics, being able to work on those as you're progressing in your career as a filmmaker, and hopefully refining them, getting better at them, and becoming a great leader, I think is absolutely one of, if not the most valuable qualities that you can have as an aspiring filmmaker. The sooner that you can become a leader that people look up to, that people can, who people want to follow in terms of getting behind their vision, the sooner that you can understand how to get the most or the best out of the people that you're collaborating with, the sooner that you're going to be able to succeed as a filmmaker. So The Dichotomy of Leadership is a book that I highly recommend. It draws on a lot of experience that the authors have as leaders in the military, in the US military, specifically during the war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And so they're taking these, really high pressure situations. It doesn't really get much more high pressure than that as a leader. It's life or death. And they're taking the lessons that they learned, they're drawing on that experience, and they're showing you how there are certain decisions that you can make. There are ways to look at the decisions that you're making and assess those in light of the situation, and know when to use certain parts of those characteristics, those leadership characteristics. And of course, if you like the book, definitely recommend the first one, or the prequel, or the first book, which is Extreme Ownership. And really that just drills into the importance as a leader of being able to take ownership of all the decisions that are made in relation to a project or a business. And again, I think that's such an important quality that you need to have as a producer or director. If you ever try and push the blame onto someone else, I can tell you now that you've already lost. So definitely recommend both of those books, but start with The Dichotomy of Leadership if you're interested in learning really how to hone your skills as a leader. Third and final recommendation is a book called The 50th Law by Robert Greene. This book was co-authored by Robert Greene and 50 Cent, and it basically takes you through 50 Cent's rise as not just a rapper, but also a business person. And it's a really great look at that intersection of, in this case, music and business, but really it applies to art and business more broadly. And if you're not familiar with Robert Greene, he's the author behind another book that I really recommend, which is called Mastery. And he's really great at looking back through either lessons of history, or in this case, because he collaborated with 50 Cent, through 50 Cent's life, and drawing out again these important lessons or takeaways that you can use as you're developing your own career or your own sense of knowing how to build a business. It's also extremely entertaining because, you know, 50 Cent had a colorful life, a colorful upbringing. He definitely got into some shady business early on in his career, but it shows as well how a lot of the things that he learned coming up, he was then able to apply to the corporate world as well. So not only is it an entertaining read, but there's some really great takeaways from the book. And so this is one I think is really motivating because it shows you how someone can come from, you know, a really disadvantaged background and through hard work, through dedication, through some hustle, can build not just great business, but a great career as an artist as well. Basically, the 50th law is fearlessness. So they talk about how 50 Cent throughout his career and throughout his journey constantly applied that law of being fearless. And it's a really great, I think, example of, you know, how artists, great artists a lot of the time do have to put skin in the game and do have to kind of risk it all to get where they want to get to. You know, another great example of this in the film world is Francis Ford Coppola. He often took massive risks, massive bets on his own work, including Apocalypse Now. And that movie wouldn't have been made without the extreme risks, without that fearlessness that Coppola applied to filmmaking. And so the book, The 50th Law, is a great one because, like I said, while it focuses on the music business and of course on 50 Cent, the lessons that you can learn through that are absolutely applicable to filmmaking. And I think there would be countless examples of filmmakers, especially independent filmmakers, that have applied that 50th law of fearlessness to get to where they are now. So that's my third recommendation. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, leave some comments in the comments section below. I'd love to know if you've read any of these books, or if you have any books that you would recommend to me or anyone out there that helps filmmakers, producers, be self-motivated in the business of film. I'm sure there are many great books out there, so I'd love to hear about any of them from you. Now, if you're interested in working with me and my team at Exile, I encourage you to head to the link in the description below and you'll be able to find some more information about our Producing Accelerator program that helps filmmakers learn how to consistently finance and produce their own films. So if you are interested in learning more, like I said, head to the link in the description below. And don't forget to check out these videos next on how to up your filmmaking game.